Salvete omnes, and welcome to Julius Caesar's Gallic Wars, Book 5, Section 26. When last we left Caesar, the death of Tescadius had caused a change in plans, and now we are picking up with a revolt is going to occur among the Eburones. Just a reminder that when Tescadius was kind of favored by Caesar, and so Caesar would kind of play the factions of people against each other. Sometimes the Gauls didn't like that there were some of their comrades and some of their tribe leaders who were supportive of the Romans, and so that is why they decided to kill Tescadius. So now we have this revolt that is going to begin among the Eburones. So let us begin. Diebus cerciter quindecim, quibus in Hiberna ventem est, initium repentini tumultus ac defectionis ortum est ab ambiorige et catawolco. Okay, so within about 15 days, so that's an ablative of time within which, during which they had come into the Hiberna, into the winter quarters, Oh, here we go. So into the winter quarters, in plus the accusative. Ventem est here is an impersonal passive, which translates literally as it has come. You could say they had come. You could make it active, even though it's an impersonal passive. The beginning of a sudden tumultus, uproar and revolt, ortum est, arose from Ambiorix and Catavolcus. So here we have the beginning, that's our subject, the initium of. So here we have these here are genitives. Repentini, describing tumultus and defectionis. Tumultus, if you remember, fourth declension, us, ui, us, ibus, ibus. So this is us, a genitive. The beginning of a tumult and revolt suddenly arose from Ambiorix. They, cum ad fines regni suo Sabino cotaeque, praesto fuissent frumentumque in Hiberna comporta vissent. So here we have a cum clause with an pluperfect subjunctive. They, although they had attended upon, praesto fuisset is an idiom which means to attend upon, and it takes a dative. So here we have our datives, Sabino and Cota. So although they had attended upon Sabinus and Cotta at the fines, at the borders of their own kingdom, regni sui, so here we have a genitive there, although they had attended to them at the borders of their kingdom, and they had comporta vissent, which is basically just porto, right? It's carried, and they had carried in or had brought grain into the winter quarters, little prepositional phrase there like we had at the top, into the winter quarters they had brought grain, comma. Impulsi, we're going to start here. Here's our perfect passive participle. Having been stirred up or persuaded by the messengers, nuntiis, of Indutio Maris, the Treveran, they stirred up their own men, suos. They stirred up their own men, and, suddenly, with the lignatoribus oppressis, with the wood gatherers, woodcutters having been overwhelmed, with a magna manu, with a large band, they came venerunt in order to attack. They came to the castra, to the camp, for the purpose of attacking. Okay, so let's go over this a little bit. And suddenly, with the wood gatherers, having been oppressed or overwhelmed. There you have an ablative absolute. They came with a large band, with a magna manu. So here we have magna agreeing with manu. They came with a large band to attack. They came with a large band to our camp to attack. The camp. Opognatum here is something called the supine. The supine is the fourth principal part. The fourth principal part of a verb, and it's used in the form to express purpose. So we can translate that as to attack. Okay, let's go on. Cum celere, Yeah. Cum celeriter nostri arma cepissent, valumque ascendissent aquae, una ex parte Hispaniis equitibus emissis, equestri perilio superiores fuissent. Okay. Just make sure I have our. All right, so let's go with cum here. Another cum clause. He likes to use cum clauses. It's starting off the sentence, and then we have two subjunctives, cepissent and ascendissent there. So here we have after, you could say, maybe translate this as after our men quickly had cepissent arma, had seized their weapons, and had climbed up the wallum, which is the rampart, and when with the Hispanis equitibus emissis, with the Spanish cavalry having been sent out ex una parte, from one direction, which previously superiores had been victorious in an equestrian battle, in a battle of horsemen, in a cavalry battle. Desperata re, with hope, with this thing having been despaired, the enemy led away their own men. Here's your direct object again, their own men. The enemy led away their own men, or led back their own men, ab oppugnatione, from the attack. Tum sua more conclamaverunt, uti aliquis ex nostris ad colloquium prodiret. Okay, then suo more. So here we have again, like their own. Remember, suus, his own, its own, her own, their own. Here it's going to say their own. According to their own custom, they shouted that someone, aliquis, so here we have a uti here, which is also could be a form of is going to introduce a purpose clause here. They shouted in order that someone from our men, according to their custom, that someone from our men should come forth for a colloquium, for a parley, for a speaking. Okay. They said that they had habere. We'll say here quae, things which they wanted to say concerning re communi, concerning a common matter. So here we're assuming that since they're shouting that for the purpose of someone to come out, they're saying that. And so we have this little, this colon here, but we're introducing an indirect statement. So you have habere, an infinitive, say is your accusative. So they say that they wanted, that they had things which they wanted Wellent to say concerning a common matter. Now, communi here, right, has an I ending, but remember that adjectives that are third declension, when they are in the ablative, they end in an I. And this adjective is describing re, which is a feminine, but this is a third declension adjective, so it will end in an I. So they had things they wanted to say about a common matters, and through which things, quibus rebus, they hoped that the controversias, the controversies or the disagreements, were able to be lessened. So we have a lot of things going on here, right? So through these things that they were talking about, they hoped that controversies were able to be lessened. Now, this minui looks a little interesting, right? It looks like it could be a couple of things. It's actually a passive infinitive, complementary infinitive to posse. So we have all these kind of strange constructions in here. You have an infinitive here in the indirect statement. Then you have a clause within your indirect statement. So you're going to have, it happens to be subjunctive. And then here again, you have the clause within this other indirect statement, which is in subjunctive. And that sparrow clause is starting another indirect statement clause with controversias as your object. They hoped that the controversies, and then posse as your infinitive, were able to be lessened. So here we have minui, which is a passive infinitive. Could be lessened, or sorry, you could be also say could be settled. Okay, so that is section 5.26. Walete.